So I am feeling overwhelmingly blessed right now because with all the preserving and canning and dehydrating we've been doing, there was one machine that I've been wanting for a while now. And Al's mom finally got one the other day and we're going to get to use it. It is this guy, the Harvest Right freeze dryer. Now this is a medium-sized one, but it's got 5 shelves instead of just 4. And so we're really excited to get a lot of different things in there. All the freeze drying we can do. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what we're going to be able to do with this thing. So we're going to show you the unpacking process. This is just the machine. There's a lot of things that go with it. So come with us and we'll show you. Okay, so here we go. We're going to unpack it. All right. So this is the pump. And this is the biggest part that makes the vacuum part. All kinds of oxygen absorbers. There's some Mylar bags. That's gonna be cool. These are the trays that go into one of those shoving units. Pop one out. Oh, those are very nice. We can put all kinds of things in there, soups or anything with the lip is going to keep it all right inside. That's going to be great. And we've got oil filtration system. That's for the vacuum. That'll be good. I like that it's shaped like a pitcher. That'll make it nice and easy to pour in there. An impulse sealer. Okay, ready? I'm gonna unbox it. So this is supposed to be the vacuum pump. Ooh. Okay, here's our oil. We're supposed to put that in the pump. This is heavy. Oh my goodness. Okay. Make sure I got everything. Okay. There she is. So this is the mid-grade pump. There's a couple of different options on pumps, but we went with the mid-grade one. But this guy is really sturdy. This is like metal right in here. Very, very thick metal. This is heavy duty plastic, and the handle, if you watched me pull it out, it was really hard, but this handle held everything. Squeak.
This right here, this is called the demister. It's also where we fill up the oil. Right back here on this side, you can see the sight glass. If you've watched any other videos about these Harvest Right freeze dryers, you'll notice that they have changed their sight glass back here. They used to have a round sight glass, now they have a rectangular one. So before we do anything else, the first thing we need to do is go ahead and add oil to this vacuum pump. Now this is basically a mineral oil. You can get about 20 uses out of your oil. This unit came with the pitcher for filtering the oil, and the other thing that's back here on the back side, right below the sight glass, is this plug right here, and that is where you drain your oil out of. Basically what this does by filtering your oil all the time is it's going to prolong the life of this vacuum pump, and it's going to keep your equipment working better for a longer period of time. So we will go ahead and add the oil to it. There, it's starting to come up. you can see that there is a minimum and maximum fill line. So I've worked with some of these vacuum pumps before, and usually the first time you fill them, there's going to be a lot of air bubbles and stuff come out. So you don't want to go above the max fill line, but I usually get a little bit closer. So we'll go ahead and seal this oil back up so we have it for the next time. One little side note, there is a O-ring right here inside this cap. Now some of the other videos that I've seen, when they took this cap off, the O-ring stuck to the housing here. Make sure you do not lose this O-ring. That's going to be a major issue if you do lose that O-ring. And then also, I'm being careful as I turn this cap over that that O-ring doesn't fall off, that it stays seated in this groove right here, because I don't want to crush that O-ring down in its wrong spot. Okay, now that I've got the demister tightened back up on top of the oil tank, there's a couple other things I wanted to point out here. This cap comes off. This connection here is your connection for your vacuum hose that will also, it'll connect to the main unit there. This type of connection does not need any sort of Teflon tape or anything like that. If you do that, it's going to cause a chance for a leak. So just know there's O-rings inside the fittings that fit on this. The second thing is that right here, there's a knob. That is your valve for your vacuum control. This should always be left in the open position. There's an O there for open and a C there for closed. If you have that in a closed position and try and run your machine, it's going to burn up this motor. The last thing I want to mention before we move on and unpack the rest of that stuff, this thing gets hot. All vacuum pumps get hot. This one will get hot too. So make sure that when your unit's running that you don't touch it, because it's going to get warm.
So the next thing I'm going to open up is the oil filtration pitcher, which Al has already told you a little bit about. It looks just like a little Brita pitcher, is what it looks like to me. It's supposed to keep the oil clean and save that machine. It's an expensive machine, and so we don't want to waste it by running it on bad oil. Okay. So we can see that this is the filter, but we're not going to open it up right now because we're not going to be using this for a little while. It's a brand new machine. It'll be fine for a bit. So we'll go ahead and we'll just keep it safely inside its box, probably under the unit somewhere. And we'll move on to the next item. So the next thing I'm going to pull out is this guy. It's called the impulse sealer. And this is to seal the Mylar bags. It's my understanding that it's just a heat sealer, but it's a heavy duty one. This again is very high quality. It's really strong material. Oop, may not ruin it. Okay, so there's the power cord. There's the heat element here. And this is the silicone so that the heat doesn't burn it. This is just like the tool at our frame shop, only it's much, much smaller. I think I already know how to use this, and I didn't even know I did. So the next thing that was just on top of my pile is the guide to freeze drying. I will definitely be sitting with that one tonight, looking at that. Then obviously our owner's manual. And this is the vacuum pump owner's manual. So I'll look at those later, probably just the one, but Al will look at the other ones and tell me all about it. So these are the oxygen absorbers. Now we've actually already ordered some of these through another company before we knew we were going to be able to use this, because oxygen absorbers are really good for like dehydrated foods and things like that, because they keep it from getting all sticky and yucky. But these will help to keep the oxygen out of what you've already dried. And these are for food. These are food safe ones. Got to make sure they're food safe, because oxygen absorbers come in all different kinds, and food safe ones are the only ones that are going to be good for putting against your foods. And last but not least, well, not really last, because we've still got tools to do, but these are Mylar bags. Okay, so it looks like you get your contents and your date. I'm going to get these out and see how they feel, because I've always thought Mylar was really thin. Let's see. Oh wow, these are actually quite heavy duty. No wonder you need a heavy duty sealer for these. These are really thick Mylar. This is not like a balloon, you guys. This is like heavy, almost an aluminum foil thickness of Mylar. That is really heavy duty stuff. Okay, so the last thing to do is start hooking it up. So these are all hoses and plumbing wires and things like that. So this guy is a vacuum hose. This is gonna go from the machine to the vacuum. This is the drain hose, which goes out of the machine into a bucket, because there's lots of liquid that comes out, and it's going to go into a bucket and be tossed. And this is the power cord that goes from the machine to the wall. So now we just hook it up.
Now that we've gone through the unboxing of all of the components, let's go ahead and hook this thing up. The first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and fish this drain hose out. This is where the clear hose is going to go ahead and hook up. And this is where the water that is pulled from your product, you're going to have a bucket to drain the water out of. And this just slips onto this. This isn't going to be under any sort of pressure. The liquid will get sucked out of it, and it'll be contained within this unit. And then once you're done, you will go ahead and open this valve, because as you're freeze drying, you're going to have this closed. So you don't want this hose into a bucket of water, because it will actually suck fluid back up into the machine. So we got that hooked up. Now we're going to go ahead and work on getting the hose hooked up. Okay, so the next thing is going to be this vacuum hose. I already mentioned this before, but make sure that you don't put any Teflon tape on these connections. This style of connection, it seals on this inside. The male fitting has a cone, and it fits in here and seals on the inside where there's an O-ring. Anyway, you want to make sure that that O-ring is well seated in there. And then we're just going to go ahead and reach back here and connect this hose on. And that's going to just tighten up nice and tight. And we're going to go ahead and mount our vacuum pump down underneath and run this hose down to it. Okay, so now I'm going to take the other end of the hose and hook it up to this fitting on the vacuum pump. Just like on the other one, I want to make sure that O-ring is seated well. And I, again, do not want to put any thread tape or anything like that on here, because the design of these fittings allows it to seal up without anything else on there. All right, that is nice and tight. Now, this end of the plug goes back up through, and will connect to the back of the machine. Okay, so like I said, you need to bring that vacuum pump cord up and plug it into the back of the unit. So we want to go ahead and plug it in. There we go, got it plugged in, got the vacuum pump plugged in. And we are ready. Okay, now that we've got our two plugs plugged in, we're ready to plug this unit into the wall, but we're not going to yet. When we picked this unit up, we had to lay it on its side to get it hauled home. This is a refrigeration unit. Because of the refrigerant inside of it, we need to go ahead and let it sit right side up for at least 24 hours to let the refrigerant set back down inside its compressor. So we'll wait and we'll plug it in tomorrow.
So one of the things that we should do before this even gets going is we want to get this gasket out that seals the door. It's kind of dirty and stuff from shipping, so we're going to pull it off real carefully and gently. Oops. Okay, and we're going to wash it. Okay. There. Squeaky clean. So after you wash it, you want to make sure you dry it with a lint-free cloth. Okay, and then we got to put it back on. There we go. It's very, very sticky because it's clean. So we're going to put the trays in now. These are little silicone shelves that keep it from sliding around. Now the first time we run a cycle, we're going to want to make sure that we do soggy bread. Now that seems kind of strange to me, but this thing has been through a lot of manufacturing. It's had oils and fumes and all kinds of things inside of it. So the first batch we're going to do is going to be soggy bread so that it'll just run everything through, get all the system cleared out and ready to go so that we can have the good food. The soggy bread will probably go to the chickens. But the trays are going to go in here for now. Okay, very exciting. I cannot wait until this thing's ready to go. Okay, we let it sit for 24 hours after it was laid on its back so that it could settle into place with all of the liquids that need to be where they need to be. Now we need to do our first run. Our first run needs to be soggy bread. It's going to clean out the condensers, it's going to clean out all of the fixtures, so we got all the nastiest bread we could find and we are going to just dehydrate it and clean out our system. So first thing we're going to do, he's already got it set up with our name. We're going to hit start. And it says wait 15 minutes before loading trays. So we're going to wait. Okay, so this told us it's time to load the trays and close our drain valve. We wanted to make sure first that this valve is closed so that we don't have any air coming in here. Later we're going to drain it and empty all the extra water out. So let's load the trays. Making sure nothing's touching the top of the tray below. They're clearing real easy. Okay, last tray. All right. Now we're going to close the door and hit continue. Okay, now it's freezing. And everything from this point is automatic. So we'll see. It should be somewhere around 24 hours. We'll see.